Okay, if you want to shoot cool videos on your bike, you're going to need some kind of an action cam. We've got 4 of the latest cameras from GoPro, DJI, Insta360 and SJ Cam. We're going to put them through their paces and we're going to tell you what we think. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more great cycling content from us, and stay tuned for our recommendations at the end. All right, let's get into it. No doubt about it, action cameras have come a long way since we started road.cc back in 2008. Here's a video from 2010, and as you can see, it is a jumpy pixelated mess compared to modern cameras that can shoot some really stunning footage. Now, we're not sure, but we think that footage was from the very first GoPro Hero Action video camera. And now look, we're on version 13. This is the Hero 13 Black Edition, and it's the state of the art as far as GoPros go. It has a 27 megapixel sensor that can shoot at 5.3K at 60 frames a second. It gets GoPro's latest Hypersmooth 6.0 image stabilisation. It's waterproof to 10 meters out of the box, and it comes with a 1900 milliamp hour Enduro battery. Now, 5.3K is a lot, but this Insta360 ACE Pro 2 ups the ante. This little thing will shoot in 8K, meaning you can do a 4 times digital zoom and still get full HD footage. It has a Leica lens with a super wide 157 degree field of view, and the built-in microphone has an integrated wind guard, which should improve sound on the bike. And even though it has this flip-up screen, it's still waterproof to 12 meters. Now, DJI is on version 5 of its Osmo Action camera, and although 4K is the highest shooting resolution you can have it at up to 120 frames a second. It's a really great quality camera, and DJI was the first to the party with this dual screen setup that 3 of the cameras now use. It uses the same kind of 1/1.3 inch CMOS sensor that's in the Insta360 ACE Pro 2, and it has 47 gigabytes of internal storage. So even if you forget your SD card, not that I ever do that, you can still go filming. There's 3 big names there, and the 4th is SJ Cam, which is a well-established camera maker that's been in the game for a while now, making well-regarded units in lower price brackets. The SJ20 though is its top-end camera. As you can see, it's rocking 2 lenses, one specifically for low light shots. It's also modular with this separate battery that's removable, and it's replaceable with a battery selfie stick. It shoots in 4K, again up to 30 frames a second. Without the battery, it's the most compact of all the cameras here, with the DJI and the GoPro in the middle and the ACE Pro 2, which is chunky for an action cam, at the other end. But if I pop this battery extender back on, it's about the same size as the Insta360. There's loads to go over, but unless a camera takes good footage, then there's not much point delving further. So let's kick off there. For shooting video out and about in the daytime, I don't think it's unfair to say that the SJ Cam SJ20 is propping up the pile here. The stabilisation crops into what's already a tighter lens than the other 3, meaning you get a reduced field of view, and the sensor produces an image that just isn't as good. The compression is more obvious, there's less dynamic range. The fact that it has by some distance the lowest bitrate of any of these cameras at 25 megabits per second is pretty obvious at this point. Bitrate is a key metric for image quality because it defines how much information the camera can actually write to the SD card. Now, the Insta360 at 180 megabits per second has the highest bitrate, and I would say that of the 3, it's probably my favourite footage. There's noticeably more detail if you punch into a single frame. Here in this still from one of the test shots, it's noticeable on the railings and the cobbles. The fact that you can shoot in 8K in theory means that you could digitally zoom to 2 times and still have a 4K image, but 8K footage is very resource intensive to work with. I tended to shoot in 4K on all of these cameras, and at that resolution, all the cameras except the SJ Cam will shoot at 120 frames per second. The SJ20 maxes out at 30. The ACE Pro 2 has a nice feature where you can double tap the screen for a 2 times zoom, and the zoom footage is actually pretty good. Of the 3 cameras that allow you to zoom video, it's the only one I really use day to day. So there's bitrate, but the lens and the sensor are also both limiting factors when it comes to quality and detail. And to see what each camera can resolve, we stuck up a test card in the studio and took some stills with each camera. We did one with the card centered in the frame and one with it right in the corner of the shot. Looking at the center shot, it's the ACE Pro 2 that resolves the most information, just about, with the GoPro and the DJI just behind and the SJ Cam a little way further back. The cleanest picture is the Hero 13 though, not the ACE Pro 2. At the edge of the lens, the Insta360 camera isn't as sharp. The DJI is probably the pick there, and the GoPro is almost as good. The
The SJ Cam seems to be a bit sharper at the edges than it is in the middle. For outdoor shots, all the cameras feature some sort of high or wide dynamic range processing to get more detail in the shadows, and in the case of the DJI and the Insta360 cameras, I think it's working a bit hard out of the box and the resulting image feels a bit washed out. You can turn it off though. The GoPro is probably the best, with the SJ20 a bit dark and contrasty. Punching right in, again, suggests the ACE Pro 2 is the one resolving the most detail, but only just. Now let's have a look at some slow-mo footage. I've dropped the resolution on all the cameras to get what I think is the best combination of resolution and speed. For the DJI and the Insta360, that's the same, 240 frames per second at 1080p. Now the GoPro will do that speed at the higher resolution of 2.7K, and it can even do 120 frames per second at its full resolution for 5-second bursts, which a lot of the time is as much as you need. You also get up to 400 frames a second at lower resolutions, which the others don't offer. So for slow-mo, it's easily the standout in terms of options. The SJ Cam tops out 120 frames per second at 1080p, which is still useful slow-mo, but not quite on a par with the others. All of these cameras have image stabilisation, and all of them are quite good. That smooth image you get from a modern action camera is one of the main reasons they're so much more effective than older models, and it makes the footage so much more usable that I personally never turn it off. The DJI and the GoPro and the Insta360 cameras all have 2 levels of stabilisation. The SJ Cam is on or off, and although you definitely want it on, the payoff for this camera is the cropped image that we see throughout the footage in this video. It's just not as wide as the others, and that makes it easier to get a shot that's not framed very well, like this one where I'm running alongside the bike. The other 3 crop the image too, but they're cropping less from a wider lens to start with. I didn't have the GoPro or the DJI on their widest view for the bike shots here, which was my mistake. But you can see from this footage of Bath's Royal Crescent that the field of view is comparable to the ACE Pro 2, although at 157 degrees, that camera is still the widest. Which stabilisation is best? Probably the GoPro, although the other 2 are also excellent. Action cameras have historically struggled with low light, but sensors and optics are improving all the time. The GoPro is the only one of these cameras that doesn't have a specific night mode. The SJ20, of course, has its separate low light lens, and the ACE Pro 2 has a setting called Pure Video for low light, and DJI has a super night setting on the Osmo Action 5 Pro. Now the smaller sensor size of the GoPro compared to the DJI and the Insta360 is more obvious when it's really dark. There's not as much light getting in normal low light situations. Around town it's okay, although it's definitely eclipsed by those other 2 cameras, of which the Insta360 is the best overall for shooting at night. Now the SJ Cam fares okay here. The low light lens is certainly better than the day lens at shooting after dark, although I still found the footage a little bit blurry, and even with its dedicated lens, it's really not quite up to the standard of the other cameras. Now sound is important on video, and of course all these cameras have built-in microphones. At the moment you're listening to the Insta360 ACE Pro 2. This sound is now coming from the GoPro Hero 13 Black, and this sound has been recorded on the SJ Cam SJ20. Last but not least, this is the sound from the DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro. What about on your bike though? Here's some footage from each with sound, with wind reduction on and off for comparison.
Okay, for a mic test, this is me heading down the hill at about 25 miles an hour. I've got all these cameras set to wind reduction at the highest level. And for comparison, this is the same test a bit further down the hill at about the same speed, but with the wind noise reduction turned off. Okay, for a mic test, this is me heading down the hill at about 25 miles an hour. These cameras set to wind reduction at the highest level. And for comparison, this is the same test a bit further down the hill at about the same speed, but with the wind noise reduction turned off. Okay, for a mic test, this is me heading down the hill at about 25 miles an hour. I've got all these cameras set to wind reduction at the highest level. And for comparison, this is the same test a bit further down the hill at about the same speed, but with the wind noise reduction turned off. Okay, for a mic test, this is me heading down the hill at about 25 miles an hour. I've got all these cameras set to wind reduction at the highest level. And for comparison, this is the same test a bit further down the hill at about the same speed, but with the wind noise reduction turned off.
First things first, the SJCam's wind reduction algorithm is dreadful and makes the audio tinny and basically unusable, although the sound without it is okay. The Insta360 is my pick of the four straight off the camera. The sound is well balanced and it has a built-in windshield that means for the most part you can do without the wind reduction algorithm. The GoPro picked up a lot of wind noise in our test, although it's much better in selfie mode when the mic is facing you against the wind. All four cameras can use external mics. Now SJCam offers a USB-C lapel mic you can plug in, and that's also an option for the other three if you buy some kind of adapter like this one for the Insta360. The GoPro and the Insta360 can connect to your Bluetooth headphones like I'm doing now with the Hero 13 and my OpenRox headphones that I've previously reviewed on road.cc. And now I've switched over to the ACE Pro 2. The pairing process is pretty simple, but as you can hear, the sound quality isn't amazing. If sound is really important to you though, then the DJI takes the spoils for me. For a start, it makes really excellent mics like this DJI Mic 2 that I use for sound on lots of videos on the channel. And with the Osmo Action 5 Pro, you can connect two of these mics simultaneously to the camera, and they also record directly on the mic. So you have a failover if anything goes wrong with the connection.
So an action camera is a really great tool if you want to go out and create an edit of a ride, an adventure that you've done. But what about if you're just riding around on your daily commute and you want evidence of close passes to send to your local plod? Here at road.cc, we really like the Cycliq range of cameras. I ride with the Fly 12 Sport on the front there and the Fly 6 Pro on the back. And you get great quality footage out of both of them with 6-axis image stabilisation on the front and the back. You've got a Quad HD picture at the front, 4K at the rear, and they've both got integrated lights, so you get yourself seen about town too. They both loop record, so you never have to worry about running out of space, and they've both got incident detection, so if you do have a crash, it'll save the footage and you won't lose it. And best of all, they've got really long run times, so if you're going out on a club run or a day ride, then they'll last for the whole thing. So check out Cycliq's range of cameras. There's a link in the description below.
Okay, we've covered quite a bit about the quality of footage you can get out of these cameras, but what they like to use. I mean, they're all ostensibly the same in terms of controls. You get 2 buttons and a touch screen, or in the case of the Osmo Action 5 Pro, 2 touch screens, because you can control the camera from the front screen too, which is handy if you're recording yourself. The Insta360 flippable screen also gives you that option, and if you're framing selfie vids, then it's easily the best because the screen is bigger and also the same shape as the frame you're shooting. You can also angle the screen, which is great for kind of low level shots. The downside is it's much harder to switch between recording yourself and other people if you want to see what you're doing. On the SJCam, that's also true. You can't have both screens on at the same time, which is a bit of a pain. Another thing that's definitely a pain is the SJ20's add-on battery, which realistically you're going to use most of the time. Now, you can't charge it unless it's on the camera, and you can't open the charge port when it's fitted. So you have to take the battery off, open the port, replace the battery, charge it, take the battery off again, close the port, and fit the battery for a final time. It's a pretty daft state of affairs. All these cameras use the same action camera mount standard that's ubiquitous these days and offers you a staggering range of accessories. The SJ20 doesn't have a mount on the camera itself, so you either need the frame that it comes with or the fully waterproof dive case to fix it to stuff. The DJI and the Insta360 cameras both come with a clip mount that magnetically locates, and that makes it easy to fit and remove the cameras to the mounts. Now, the Hero 13 Black also has a magnetic mount available, but there's also a legacy mount that folds into the body. So you're covered both ways, and it's probably the pick of the lot as far as mounting is concerned. Obviously, the magnetic mounts aren't interchangeable because, of course, they're not. The 4 cameras have different menu setups and ways of accessing shot modes and functions, and this vid isn't really the place for a deep dive into how they all work. The SJCam's menus feel a bit like the menus you get on budget action cameras, which with just more options, which isn't really an endorsement. The other 3 are more premium feeling, and they all work differently, but more or less equally well. GoPro's optional Labs firmware allows you to change settings on the camera just by pointing at a QR code, which is super handy if you're working with multiple cameras or you have specific settings you need to apply, because there are a lot of things you can change. You can set all the cameras to power on and shoot with a single press of the record button, and the DJI is the quickest to actually get going, with less than 2 seconds between the button press and the start of the video. The GoPro and the Insta360 are about 4, the SJCam more like 7. All of the cameras also have a pre-record function too. So if the camera's on, it's always recording. And then when you hit record, it'll write up to 1.5 minutes of footage for the ACE Pro 2, a minute for the Osmo, and 30 seconds for the other two. The SJ Cam and the GoPro will also work as a motion sensor camera, although you need the GoPro Labs firmware to do that on the Hero 13 Black. I didn't really enjoy using the SJ20. The situation with the add-on battery is a bit ridiculous. The menus are poor compared to the others, and the control layout is inferior to the other cameras too. It just doesn't feel like it's really in the same ballpark. And as for the other three, well, they're all fully featured and there's a lot to like, and a lot of the time they're comparable, which probably isn't a surprise. I don't necessarily think one is better to use than the other. I'd say the GoPro feels more like a prosumer camera in terms of the way it approaches things. The Insta360 feels like it's set up to be simple to use, and the DJI is somewhere in the middle. I mean, the Osmo Action 5 Pro was probably my favourite in terms of ease of use, but there really isn't that much in it. All four of these cameras have similar battery specs, assuming you're using the SJ20 with its extender battery. The ACE Pro 2 battery is the smallest at 1800 milliamp hours, then it's the SJ20 1850, then 1900 for the GoPro and 1950 for the Osmo. Now, we ran all four cameras at the same time, the same video resolution, just left them running until they stopped. The ACE Pro 2 was the first to give out at 1 hour 44, with the Osmo Action 5 Pro and SJ20 stopping within about 3 minutes of each other about half an hour later. Now, the GoPro held on until 2 hours and 39 minutes and was the only camera that actually made it to its stated runtime in that test. The ACE Pro 2 was a bit disappointing, and it wasn't just in this static test. It tended to be the first camera to run down whatever we were doing out and about as well. In normal use, the GoPro didn't seem to be as far ahead of the others as the static test would suggest. The DJI and the GoPro were often about the same. The SJ Cam came with this Volta grip as well, which has a huge 4800 milliamp hour battery, which extends the battery life by ages, but it's not waterproof like this, and it's a bit bulky. Our DJI Adventure Pack came with this 3 battery caddy, which is handy if you know you'll be shooting more than one battery's worth of footage. When you're charging up again, the Osmo Action 5 is the best, giving you a nice, easy to read charge percentage on the screen all through charging, even when it's turned off. With the others, it's a bit less easy to tell the charge state. Now, we're not going to do a deep dive into these, but all these cameras have an app and connect to your phone to do stuff because it's 2025. So let's have a quick look at what they can do. GoPro's Quick app has been around for years, and the key functionality is about making quick edits of stuff. Oh, and trying to get you to buy a premium subscription. There's quite a lot of that. If you want a quick vid for social media when you're out and about, it works pretty well. And of the apps, it's probably the best for throwing vids together in a hurry. The Insta360 app caters for all its cameras, and there's quite a lot in there that's aimed at the 360 cameras, but there are still very solid editing facilities, lots of templates, and even an AI function where you can get upload clips for a makeover. You get to do 3 of those free a day. Like the GoPro Quick app, it's set up for firing out social edits, and it does a good job. The DJI Mimo feels set up to be a bit more classic in terms of the output you get from the automated features, and there's quite a detailed editor backend, so if you want to get a bit deeper into your edit on your phone, then might be a good choice. There's also a full tutorial section on the camera, although that's just really linking to YouTube vids, which you could watch there. The SJ Cam app has some editing functionality too, although it promises things like templates, which don't actually load, and the experience as a whole is a bit glitchy. You can throw an edit together in there though. On top of that, all the apps allow you to stream a live view of the camera and fiddle with the settings, which can be handy if the camera's somewhere you can't get to it easily. Anything else to add? Well, a lot of the accessories available are interchangeable, but there are a few things to note. All these cameras can be remotely controlled. Insta360 now offers a GPS preview remote with a live view, which is a pick of the bunch, and DJI has a GPS remote too. The GoPro has GPS built in. The ACE Pro 2 and the Hero 13 Black both have a bayonet mount that the lens cover sits on. At the moment, a neutral density filter set for shooting in bright conditions is the only thing that fits on the Insta360 camera, but the GoPro has a range of lenses, including an adjustable macro lens that will give sharp footage down to about 11 centimeters and an anamorphic lens for that cinematic look, if that's what you're looking for. The ability to shoot close on the macro lens really does allow you to extend the range of shots you can do. The DJI has push-on ND filters and lens mods, which will be fine for most conditions, but they're not fully waterproof, so water can get under them in extreme conditions, and if your camera is wet or dirty, you'll need to be a lot more careful. Okay, so which one wins? Well, let's get the SJ20 out of the way first, because it's lining itself up as a competitor to the other three in this test, and well, it doesn't really make the grade. The build quality isn't as good, the picture isn't as good, and the experience isn't as good. And even with a second lens specifically for low light, it isn't even winning there. And the extra battery charge port thing, well, it's a usability nightmare. So okay, it's not as expensive, but if you don't have the budget for the top end cameras here, it's worth looking second hand. GoPro footage has been better than this SJ20 since at least the Hero 6, and that's 7 years now. Overall then, you can see that aside from the SJ20, there's very little in it. Any of these three cameras is going to be an excellent companion for your cycling adventures. The GoPro edges it on points over the other two, but in reality, which one you pick is going to be dependent on the kind of filming you do, and each of them has strong and weak points. For me, I personally don't think I'd pick the GoPro because it's outperformed in low light situations by the DJI and Insta360 cameras, and that's an important consideration for me. It ain't always sunny here, and I do quite a bit of filming after dark. I do think the Osmo Action 5 Pro picture is not quite as good in terms of pure detail as the ACE Pro 2, and the 8K is a draw on paper, although you probably find, like me, that you don't end up using it much. But the ability to sync two good mics to the Osmo is a major plus for me, and so is the battery life and the fact you get the handy 3 battery case for longer shoot times. If you're doing short form stuff, you're editing on your phone a lot, the Insta and GoPro cameras are likely to suit you better. The apps are more set up for that, and the cameras have better video presets for square and vertical stuff. The GoPro's proper interchangeable lenses might also be a big draw for making more varied action camera footage, and I really like the macro lens, and it's a big step forward in terms of add-on lens quality. If you force me to pick one, I think I'd probably go for the DJI. I like the way it works, the sound options and the low light quality are important for me, and also it's a bit cheaper. But your mileage may vary. Make sure you jump in the comments below to tell me why I'm wrong and how. But as ever, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more, and we'll see you soon.